Hi, Verbling. My name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're talking about the passive voice, which is complex and will take quite a bit of time to go over. If you guys have any questions or comments on the passive or would like to request a new topic for another class, you can let me know on Facebook, and I'll give you my Facebook name in the chat box. And I see a viewer in the chat box, CLR, who wants a private session, I think. You're welcome to visit my profile page on Verbling, which I'll link for you in the chat box. Adela, welcome to class.
Hello, Michaela.
Hey, Adela, how are you?
Fine, thanks for asking.
Excellent. You're back from all your travels, right?
Yes.
We're happy to have you back. How's your week going so far?
It's in the north of Spain, but today I work normal.
You work today?
Yes, I've worked because I finished.
All right. Well, I'm glad you made time for a little bit of English as well.
Yes.
And Yenny, welcome to class.
Thank you so much.
How's your week going so far, Yenny?
I'm going to practice English in the morning.
Awesome. So, what time is it for you?
Oh, it's 8 a.m. here.
Wow, and I think this is the first time I've met you, right?
Oh, in your class, there is my first class.
Awesome. Where are you from, Yenny?
I'm from Colombia.
Very cool. Well, it's great to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
All right. So we're talking a little bit about the passive voice today, and I'm going to put the notes in the chat box for you. I also have my Verbling profile in there, so the second link should be the notes. All right, so let's get started and talk a little bit about what the passive voice is. Adela, get us started. What is passive voice?
Passive voice is a different structure to active voice on the focus with the action, and the subject is the object change. I don't explain, but is focused in the action exactly.
Yes. Excellent start. So we change the form of a sentence to focus more on the action rather than the subject. Yenny, do you know anything else you can add about the passive voice?
Oh, honestly, I don't know exactly what is the passive voice. Yeah.
No worries. You're going to learn today.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll give a brief review of kind of what the passive is. The passive is a restructuring of any sentence to focus on the action. So like Adela mentioned, in order to make the passive, we have to flip an object and put it in front to be the subject. The subject could potentially go at the end if you want to include it or not. And it's different from the active voice. And I'll give a quick example here. I ate the cookie would become, oops, I ate the cookie would become, the cookie was eaten. So in this case, we keep the verb, but we change the subject. Well, in this example, we take out the subject and we put the object at the end to the beginning. Now, why would we use this passive form? It says the same thing, but it changes it a little. So why would we use it? Adela, do you have any idea why we use the passive?
I think to to have more is more strong, no, about the action, to result, to focus it. I don't know, but it's.
Okay, so we change the focus. That's important. So, for example, if you're reading like a scientific magazine and they're talking about a study, what's important is what happened. It's not important who did it. So we change the focus and we talk about what occurred, not who did the action. That's one reason we use it. Thanks,
Yes.
thanks, Adela. And Elena, welcome to class.
Hi.
So, Elena, we're talking about the passive. Do you remember why we use the passive or any reasons we might use the passive voice?
I think you have said right now that we can use the passive when we want to focus in what has happened, not in the agent. Agent.
Yeah, exactly. And one other reason that we might use the passive voice is if we want to hide the subject. So, a lot of politicians use passive voice because they don't want to take the blame for something. So, if something really negative happens, like maybe a scandal, money goes missing in the government or something, a politician might say, money was taken, and kind of hiding the blame. So instead of saying, hey, I took money, I stole money, the politician might say, money was taken, and hope that no one thinks like, hey, did you take it? So we can use the passive form to hide the person or to change the focus if the person is not important. And maybe a third reason would be if we don't know. If we don't know who did the action. And in this case, it would be something like, this building was made in 1329. So something really old. Maybe we don't know who made the building. Maybe we don't know. Maybe I come home and there's a big mess on the floor, but I don't know who made the mess. So I would say the mess was made in the living room or in the kitchen, but I don't know who made the mess. So if I don't know, if I want to hide, or if it's not important, we'll use the passive voice. Okay, now that we've talked a lot about the passive voice, let's talk about the active voice. Elena, how is the active voice different? What is the active voice?
Sorry, where or how is? I don't understand your
What
question.
is the active voice? So we described passive, which is what we're talking about today. But what is the
Yes.
active voice, which is the opposite, right? What is it?
Yes, the active voice is that in what the subject of the sentence is the subject of the action as well.
Yeah. So the active voice is what we consider kind of normal. Our everyday sentence, normal statement sentences. He walks the dog. She jumps rope. They go to the store. These are normal active voice sentences. So today we're talking about something a little bit different, but related. Okay. So I'm going to put my screen share up and we're going to get started practicing the passive voice. Oh no. Okay, if my screen share wants to work. There we go. Okay, so passive tense. Why do we use the passive? We already talked about that. So now let's go on to some examples. Jenny, will you read the active and passive voice examples for us?
Sure. He bakes a cake. A cake is baked by him. He does not sing a song. A song is not sung by him. Does he fly a plane? Is a plane flown by him?
Thank you very much. And Allah, welcome to class.
Thank you, teacher. How are you?
Doing really well. So, did you already watch the first part of our class today, or are you just joining us now?
I'm just joining.
Excellent. So this is an opportunity. Now I want you guys to explain to Allah what passive voice is. Yenny, will you start and tell Allah what he missed? Tell him what passive voice is.
We talk about a passive voice, and it means that is used when you don't know who is the subject, who do the action, but instead you talk about the action and you want to focus on the action.
Mm-hmm.
An active voice or an active voice is when you is related with the subject in the sentence.
Exactly. Thanks, Yenny. Elena, is there anything else you think is important for Allah to know before we begin making some passive sentences?
I don't know. I think Jenny has done it very well.
I agree. Okay. So, we're going to start now with these first simple present tenses because we can have a passive voice version of every single tense in English, which is part of the reason it's very complex because it's different every time. So we're going to start with the simple present and work our way up. Here you can see we have to rearrange the sentence a little bit. The original version here, we have a subject, a verb, and an object. We take the object and we put it at the beginning of the sentence. Then we take the original verb and use a participle. So a participle is a unique conjugation of a verb usually used in the present perfect or past perfect. And we also have to add in the verb to be. In this particular sentence, we conjugate the verb to be in the simple present because we're working with simple present. And we conjugate it for our new subject, which is a cake. Then we add on the original verb in the participle form. And then this part here is optional. So if you want, you can say by him, but you don't have to. You just can. So you guys are going to model some sentences that you make after these. And I'm going to ask each of you to make a different kind of sentence. So as you can see here, we have one that's a positive statement, another that is a negative statement. He does not sing a song. And then the last one is a question. So I'm going to ask you guys to come up with two sentences, one in the active voice and one in the passive voice. So you're going to turn your active voice sentence into a passive sentence. So you guys are going to make a sentence like this and then turn it into the passive voice and show us both sentences. All right. So to get started, I'm going to ask Adela to make a positive statement sentence and turn it into the passive. Allah, a negative statement sentence and turn it into the passive. Elena, a question and turn it into the passive. And Yenny, a positive statement sentence and turn it into the passive. So just to review, we have.
Teacher?
Go ahead. Question.
For me, it's a positive, and then.
Yeah, so what you're going to do is you're going to create a sentence that's similar to this example, and then you're going to turn it into the passive like we saw here. So you're going to take the object of your sentence and put it in the beginning, use the verb to be, turn the original verb into a participle, and you'll have a totally new sentence.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, guys? Awesome. Then go ahead and get working. If you think of questions, I'll be here. You can ask at any time. And when you're ready, put your sentences in the chat box. You should have the original active voice and the passive voice when you put them into the chat box. Awesome. We have some already ready. He does not play on piano. Piano is not played by him. Okay. Good sentence. In your original sentence, I have one small correction, and that would be we should put an article or nothing. So you can either say he does not play. No, we have to put an article. He does not play piano, or he does not play on the piano. So in the original sentence, just a small little correction there with the article. And piano is not played by him works totally fine. Your second sentence is an excellent example. We have is conjugated for piano, and then played, which is the participle of the verb play. Thank you very much, Allah.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Adela's sentences. I'm painting the wall.
They are a mistake. Sorry. Okay. I'm painting the wall.
And what's your next sentence?
The wall is the wall is being painted, no, by me.
So you gave us a pretty interesting example. What tense is your sentence written
Yes,
in?
it's the progressive, present progressive.
Yeah, progressive.
Continue.
So it is the present. It's a little different than what we were talking about, but it's not bad. It's a good example of a present sentence.
I
Just a little
paint.
different.
I paint the wall. The wall is painted by me.
Yes, and when you put been, you probably should put being, because since you're using the progressive, you have to keep the progressive tense. So if
Okay.
your original sentence is I'm painting the wall, your finished sentence would be the wall is being painted by me.
I mistake because I write is been painting. I change the. No?
Yeah, it's a common mistake. This stuff is tricky, but your sentence is good. Thanks, Adela.
Thank you.
All right, next up, she likes the romantic movies. The romantic movies are liked by her. Great. Perfect sentence, Yenny. We have the verb to be and the participle and the optional by her at the end. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Next one I see. I am writing a sentence. A sentence is being written by me. It's a great sentence, and again we see this is in the present progressive, which isn't necessarily the tense that we were using for this example, but you did a great job, Photon. Thanks. Okay, and Elena will catch up with us later on the next one maybe. So now that we've done this simple present, we're going to go on to
Yes,
the present continuous.
I'm here now.
Okay, great. Do you have an example, or are you going to do the next
Yes.
one with us?
No, yes, it's in the chat.
Okay, sorry. All right, there we are. So he does the housework. The housework is done by him. Excellent. Thanks. We have the verb to be plus the participle. Perfect sentence, Elena.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're going to go on to the present continuous. And this one, we have some pretty good clues here. On the top box, it says, it gives us the tip for our verb to be. The verb to be is going to change to am being, is being, or are being. And let's have Elena read these examples for us.
I'm reading a letter. A letter is being no, I am writing. Sorry. I'm writing a letter. A letter is being written by me. I am not playing a game. A game is not being played by me. Am I doing homework? Is homework being done by me?
Excellent, thanks. Okay, so we have the same form, a positive sentence, a negative sentence, and a question. Do you guys have any questions for me before we write some more example sentences using present continuous? All right, then this time I'm going to ask Yenny to make a question, Elena to make a negative sentence, Allah to make a positive sentence, and Adela to make a question. And we're going to do it the same way. Give me your active voice sentence and your passive voice sentence whenever you're ready. Okay, we have one in the chat box, in the Google chat box already. So he is fixing his car. The car is being fixed by him. Excellent. Or possibly, his car is being fixed. That's another possible way we could change this sentence. Thanks, Allah. Great example. Next up, are you reading the newspaper? Is the newspaper being read by you? Thanks, Adela. Excellent example. My boyfriend is not fixing my internet connection. My internet connection is not being fixed by my boyfriend. Perfect, Elena. Your original sentence has a slight typo, but the second one corrects it. So well done. Yeah, you saw it. Thanks, Elena. And Yenny, are you almost ready with yours?
Yeah, I'm ready, thank you.
Excellent, thanks. Is Claudia reading a scientific article? A scientific article is being read by Claudia. Okay, good, but a couple changes. First off, Read is the participle of read. It's a really irregular verb in this case, so we don't need to put the en on the end.
Oh.
And also because we use question form, the verb needs to come first. So if you look at Adela's example, she put, is the newspaper being read? And that would be a better way to phrase it for a question in English. So we could change your second sentence to be, is a scientific article being read by Claudia? And then it would be perfect.
Okay.
Thanks, Annie.
Thank you.
All right. The next one we're going to go over is the simple past. I'm going to skip the present perfect quickly because it's kind of an advanced one. I want to do one more simpler one before I go on to the hard stuff. So the simple past in passive voice. These examples, let's have Allah read them for us.
Okay. I killed a snake. A snake was killed by me. I did not kill a snake. A snake was not killed by me. Did I kill a snake? Was a snake killed by me?
Thanks. So as you guys can see, I kind of got lazy with these examples. I started realizing how hard it is to be creative with these sentences. So instead of making 3 different ones, I made 3 of the same. It's harder than it looks to have these creative sentences. The work is all for you guys. Okay, so this time all we're going to do is we're going to change the verb to be into was or were and keep the rest the same. So the formula stays the same, object in the beginning, and the participle after the verb to be. Do you guys have any questions before you make some example sentences of the simple past passive voice? All right. Nothing? Okay. So then this time, Jenny, make a negative statement.
Okay.
Elena, a question. Allah, a positive statement. And Elena, a negative statement.
For me, it's positive.
Negative statement.
Negative. Okay.
Mhm. Okay, you guys are getting the hang of this. This one has been quick. So the first one I see is by Adela. The woman didn't clean the flat. The flat wasn't cleaned by the woman. Perfect, Adela. Thanks. Next up, I cooked that delicious meal. That delicious meal was cooked by me. Another perfect one. Thanks, Elena. And from the chat box, we have, did I join the class? Was the class joined by me? Yeah, Photon. It does sound a little strange because it's pretty uncommon. You know, people don't usually ask themselves questions. But the form is perfect. You did a great job. And let's see. We're waiting on a couple more. We'll give it a couple seconds. Finish up whatever you're ready, and we can correct it together. All right. We have some sentences from Allah. The student solved the math problem perfectly. The math problem was solved perfectly. Excellent. And I love that you used an adverb there. You made your sentence a little more complex, which is great, because I think now that you guys are getting the hang of it, using more complex sentence structures is great practice. All right. And Adela, we'll see you later.
I need to leave the class
All right.
because I need to prepare a class for
Okay.
tomorrow.
Then we'll
Thank
see you later, Adela. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. All right. And the last set of sentences for this one, he did not eat dinner. Dinner was not eaten by him. Excellent. I think you guys totally have the hang of this, so we're going to make it a little more complex this time. The next one we're doing is the past continuous, and let's see who hasn't read in a while. Yenny, can you read the examples for this one?
Sure. He was driving a car. A car was being driven by him. He was not driving a car. A car was not being driven by him. Was he driving a car? Was a car being driven by him?
Thanks. So this time, to make it a little more complex, give you guys one more difficulty here, I'm going to ask that you add 2 prepositional phrases. So whatever your sentence is, you have to include at least 2 prepositional phrases. And a prepositional phrase would be something like, in the afternoon, on Tuesday, or under the table, in the backyard, or from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, or anything that uses a preposition to show a relationship. So everyone's sentence should include at least 2 prepositional phrases. This time, I'd like everybody to make a negative statement.
Okay.
So everyone is making a negative statement, giving 2 sentences, and it has to include 2 prepositions. Fun one in the chat box already. So we have, he wasn't seeing a UFO that evening in the lonely road. A UFO wasn't being seen by him that evening in the lonely road. Excellent, Elena. That was a creative, very creative sentence. And it's done perfectly. The conjugation is great. There's just one small thing, and that is we don't say an UFO, we say a UFO. And the reason is because of the way we pronounce that letter, U. It kind of starts with the Y sound, not really a vowel sound. So it's kind of like university. We say a university, but we say an umbrella. So it depends on the word.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know it.
Awesome sentence, though. I love that we're talking about UFOs. That's a lot of fun. Next example. He was not watching the TV last night when his favorite team was playing. The TV was not being watched last night by him when his favorite team was playing. Excellent. Perfect sentence, Allah. I can't trick you guys. You guys are beasts. This is awesome. And Yenny, are you close to done with yours?
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. I know that it takes time to think of all of the possibilities and make some creative sentences.
Thank you.
Oh man. Ah, we have one from Photon. Cool. Oh, and one from you too. Okay, so Rosa was not buying an expensive ring. An expensive ring was...
The end. I forgot the end.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
No problem. We can do that on the next one.
Uh-huh.
So, an expensive ring was not being bought by Rosa. Awesome sentences. And you have the opposite problem that Elena had in her sentence. We need the article an in front of the adjective expensive, which in the second sentence you have, but not in the first one.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's great. And we have one more from the chat box. She was not signing an unforgotten song during the morning in her home. Whoa, this is complex. Okay. An unforgotten song was not being signed by her during the morning in her home. Yes, awesome conjugation. Two small mistakes. The first one is we need an unforgotten, so we need to change the article. And, there we go. And then we need to add an article for morning. So during the morning, or that morning, or the morning, something like that. Okay. Let's move on. We're going to go back up now and talk about the perfect tense, which is just by definition a little more complex than other tenses. And who read the last ones? I think Yenny did. Allah, would you like to read these examples for us?
Of course. She has finished her work. Her work has been finished by her. She has not finished her work. Her work has not been finished by her. Has she finished her work? Has her work been finished by her?
Excellent. So we're going to be using has been and have been plus the participle. And this time, let's see. This time we'll add on two adverbs. Two adverbs. So you guys are all going to make questions in the perfect tense passive voice and use two adverbs. That would be something like quietly, beautifully, unfortunately, any of those ly words.
Okay.
Excellent. One already ready. Maria has completed timely and accurately her task. Her task has been completed timely and accurately. Awesome. Yes. Great job.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Yenny. Excellent example.
Thank you.
The next one I see, unfortunately, I have never joined the class because I have, oh yeah, this is a good one. Okay, unfortunately, I have never joined the class because I have not a microphone. Unfortunately, the class has never been joined by me because I have not a microphone. Second one is a little, yeah. Okay, so fun sentences. First off, we probably would say I don't have instead of I have not. I don't have a microphone. So that's the first correction. And then we have a slight conjugation mix-up in the second sentence. So if you say, I have never joined the class, it would become, the class has never been joined by me. The class has never been joined. But I like your example because never is kind of a forgotten adverb. It's an excellent adverb and a common one, but people do forget that. So I like you used that adverb. Thanks very much, Photon. The next example I see, a friend of mine has just rung my, oh yeah, a friend of mine has just rung my bell. My bell has just been rung by a friend of mine. Excellent sentence. Thanks,
Yes.
Elena.
Just one adverb. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. You did your best and it turned out really well.
Thank you.
Okay. And the last sentence we have. Has she finished the household chores quickly and efficiently? Has the household chores been finished quickly and efficiently by her? Excellent. Okay. So this is perfect. And you did a question, which is what I asked. No one else remembered that, but that's okay. So you get gold star points, but we have one small mistake in the second one, and that is that chores, household chores, is plural, so we have to use have instead of has. The first one, she is the subject, so it's singular, but the second one changes. So small little thing. All right. On to the next. Now we're going down to the past perfect tense. So it gets a little more complicated every time. And these examples, Elena, will you read them?
Of course. They had completed the assignment. The assignment had been completed by them. They had not completed the assignment. The assignment had not been complete by them. Complete or completed?
Yeah,
I
that's a
think that's
typo.
it.
It should be
Yes.
completed.
Okay.
There we go.
Had they completed the assignment? Had the assignment been completed by them?
Thank you very much. Oops, I'll do that later. Okay, so now we're going to make these, and again, I'm going to ask you guys to make questions. So you guys are going to make your own example sentences with the past perfect in the passive tense, and you're all going to make questions. So take a good look at how they use the verbs in the question example there. And whenever you guys are ready, put them in the chat box. All right, we have a couple ready. He had driven that old car for a long time. That old car had been driven by him for a long time. Excellent statement. Elena, how would we turn that into a question?
Passive, a passive question, I suppose. Had that old car been driven by him for a long time?
Excellent, yeah. So we kind of have to switch up the verb pattern there, but great. That would be a good way to make a question. Thanks, Elena. Next up, had they moved to the new home? Had the new home been moved to? Yes. Thank you very much, Ala. Excellent example. And we'll give it a couple more minutes before we move on to the future.
Sorry, Michaela. I have a question about Ala example. Does the passive question there the meaning that we want it to have? Because it seems like someone has moved the home to another place.
No, I think it works well because when you say move to, like they moved to the new home, it means that the people were the ones that moved. And then in the new sentence, had the new home, I see. So it might be better if we say moved into. That might make more sense since we're changing the subject a little bit. And yeah, Elena, you're right. We should change that preposition to make it more clear exactly what we're talking about. Good suggestion.
Okay.
All right. And we have one more example in the chat box. Before the sun rose, had your jobs been finished by you? It was unknown by me. Ooh. I am confused by this sentence. I'm going to leave the second part of it off. So, before the sun rose, had your jobs been finished by you? And if you put a question mark there, then it's a good sentence. All right. And Yenny, are you close to finished with yours?
Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
No problem at all. It's nice that you take your time and really make sure you've done it right. It's a good way to learn. Awesome. So had Carlos gotten a rise in his wage before? Had a rise been gotten by Carlos before? Excellent. So the only thing that changes really is that we left out his wage in the second sentence. But other than that, it works. It's a good sentence.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Yenny. All right, I think we have time for one more, and we're all the way down to the future tense. So now we're going to talk future simple, and Allah, will you read these examples for us?
She will buy a car. A car will be bought by her. She will not buy a car. A car will not be bought by her. Will she buy a car? Will a car be bought by her?
Thanks. Okay, so now we're going to be using will be, and you guys can choose if you make a question, a negative statement, or a positive statement, but I'd like everyone's sentence to have at least 10 words in it. So It doesn't matter what you make as long as you make it long. You can add on adjectives or adverbs or prepositional phrases as long as it's at least 10 words long. Our first one. A lot of people will see this embarrassing YouTube video. This embarrassing YouTube video will be seen by a lot of people. Excellent, Elena. I'm counting your words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Well done.
Thank you.
Next up, we will help him prepare for his son's birthday party tomorrow night. He will be helped preparing for his son's birthday party tomorrow night. Okay, so let's change a couple things around. The first sentence is pretty good, but we can't use the ing because this is not a continuous sentence. If you want to make it a continuous sentence, you can, and that would be will be preparing. So we will help him. No, it doesn't work because of the word help. So let's make it not conditional just to make it a little simpler, meaning that we change the original sentence to we will help him prepare for his son's birthday party tomorrow night. And then in the second sentence, we'd have to say his son's birthday party.
In
Go ahead.
preparing, we will help him in preparing.
Okay.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that works. So we will help him in preparing for his son's birthday party. That's okay too. So that would
he will be helped
become, yeah, he will be helped in preparing for his son's birthday party tomorrow. Yeah, that's a pretty good sentence. It's a little bit strange. It's not like the best way to phrase it, but it's grammatically okay. Structurally, it's fine. So I love your creativity. And thanks for your sentence, Ala.
Thank you.
Do you guys have any other questions on any of the tenses we went over today or anything else? Practicing the passive is also a really good tense review because it gives us a good overview of all of them. No other questions I can answer for you guys in our last 2 minutes here? We've got one more sentence to go over. I will join the Great Verbling class in the near future. The Great Verbling class will be joined by me in the near future. Yay, Photon! Awesome sentence. In your second one, you left out the article the before great, but other than that, it's perfect. And I hope it's true. I hope we do see you in class soon. All right, I'm going to take down my screen share. Okay, and our last sentence for today. American culture will be practiced for many young people around the world. Around the world, many young people will practice American culture. Ah, interesting. So this time we reversed it. You put the active sentence second. So let me just make sure. Around the world, many young people will practice American culture. American culture will be practiced by many young people
will be.
around the world.
Thank
So
you.
just a couple small things. All right.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much for all of your wonderful examples and for your participation today. And I hope to see you guys again soon.
Thank
Check
you
you
for
later.
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.